All right, what's good, family? Shalom to the hopeful elect out there. Giving all praise, Yahawah Shai. This is the book of Acts here, chapter 2. And I'm sorry, right here at verse 16. But this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. And it shall come to pass in the last days, saith the Lord Yahawah Shai, that I will pour out of my spirit upon all flesh, and your son and your daughter shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. Verse 18, and on my servants and on my handmaidens I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy. And I will show wonders in heaven above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire, and vapor of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and notable day of the Lord come, the Lord Yahawah Shai. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord Yahawah Shai shall be saved. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahawah Shai. And I want to say shalom to your hopeful elect brothers out there that scattered across to the four corners of the earth, that's preaching and trucking every single day through the spirit and power of Yahawah Shai, trying to get this word out. Shalom to you brothers out there. And I'm going to make this video quick. I ain't going to make it too long, but I'm going to title this video right here. Just keep in mind and remember that the Father Yahawah is the one that gave us this truth. Just keep in mind that Yahawah Shai is the one that gave us this truth. You know, because some people, they want to give their own self credit. You know, people think that they have to be a part of the, part of some, group, to get saved by Yahawah Shai. You don't have to be a part of no group. Yahawah Shai put the spirit on the hopeful elect to know what they know. And we can't be carrying ourselves with this mindset of, oh yeah, if you ain't part of this, group, or, oh yeah, well, if you don't believe this, this, then, then you're wrong. And, this is going to, happen to you, because we got to keep in mind, man, that Yahawah Shai, he is watching us, man. He is jotting down, all sorts of things. Those angels, they are jotting down all sorts of things, man. How you treat the brotherhood, do you carry your own self humbly? Are you very, very, prideful? It's just things just to keep in mind. I'm not trying to point fingers, it's just, you got people out there, like that, and I try to carry myself in a very, very humble manner, because, I know that Yahawah Shai personally, he didn't have to put this truth on me. I could be like these 2/3 out here, bugged out, not having a clue, still in these churches. And, Yahawah Shai, he has a set appointed time for me, and I just get destroyed, and I'm just a 2/3 Israelite. I could have been like that. But, hey, he woke me up to this truth back in 2017. It was very, very brutal the way he had woke me up, but I'm very grateful for it. But at the same time, I'm being careful of how I move in this truth, man. I be listening to, videos from, GMS, and I listen to other people that aren't a part of GMS, but hey, we got to keep in mind too that the elect of Israel is scattered across to the four corners of the earth, and I think that some people forget that, Yahawah Shai is coming to save the house of Israel, and I'm gonna keep sounding the horn on this, The Yahawah Shai is saving the elect of Israel that's scattered across to the four corners of the earth. So, we just got to be careful of how we conducting ourselves, man. And, like I said, I be watching, all kind of videos, man. I be watching GMS videos. I watch other brothers' videos, that are not in GMS, but, like I said, I respect what everyone does. But it's just very, very important, just to, carry your own self well. And I got to watch my own self too, so, but I know if I personally have like an issue or something, I try to go to, go to Yahawah Shai about it, so, but yeah, man, we just got to keep in mind, that we have this truth because of Yahawah Shai. We have this truth, just like Scripture says here. I will pour out of my spirit, upon all flesh, your sons and your daughters, and they shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. Yahawah Shai is the one that is in control. Yahawah Shai, is the one that had put that truth on you. you know? Yeah. And then you got brothers out there too, you know, that personally believe, that if you don't follow what they say, what they do, that you ain't gonna make it. Guess what? They don't decide that. Yahawah Shah decides who is going to be in those chariots. So that's why I keep saying, it's a very fearful thing, because back in Noah's day, only 6 to 8 people had got saved. Back in Lot's day, it was like 2 to 4 people. That's a scary thing. Just thinking about that. That is a scary thing. Right here. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11. And for this cause, Yahawah Shah shall send them strong delusion that they shall believe a lie. So, that should tell you right there, that Yahawah Shah, he's the one that gave us this truth. Because these 2/3 that still can't see, it's because Yahawah Shah put them under a strong delusion. So he's not dealing with them. So that alone, you should be, very, very grateful, that you have this truth and you're continuing to learn. I'm very grateful. But at the same time, I'm not going to carry myself with this mindset of that, oh, yeah, if I'm not part of this group, hey, if I don't join them, then, I'm not doing the work of Yahawah Shah. No. If you put the truth on you, you get that truth out there, and you just keep doing your own thing, man. Just keep doing your thing, because we don't need to get high-minded, man. Hey, you don't want to get high-minded, because Yahawah Shah, he will shoot you down low. Right here, verse 12, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but have pleasure in unrighteousness. Like I was saying, Yahawah Shah, he's in control. He is in control. That's why these 2/3, they can't see what's going on, because Yahawah Shah, he doesn't want them knowing. He does not want them knowing. Right here, I'm going to read verse 32 right here. It's pretty much the same scriptures. It's just written differently. Right here. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as the Lord has said, and in the remnant whom the Lord shall call. And, just like scripture says, many are called, few are chosen. So like I said, we don't want to get too high-minded in this truth, proud, because, you don't want to be one of those, that did so many videos and then, you don't get chosen, for whatever reason. So, hey, we have the truth because of Yahawah Shah. He didn't have to send his only begotten son, Yahawah Shah, but he did. So that we have a way back to the Father Yahawah, so that we have a way back. And Lord willing, I'm part of that Grateful Gorge's number, because, we all messed up. I messed up. And I'm very, very grateful for, that Yahawah sent his only begotten son, Yahawah Shah, or else I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. But yeah, y'all, I just wanted to bring this out, man. So, this is all about Yahawah Shah, not us. It's all about Yahawah Shah. Giving all praise Yahawah Shah. And I'll be coming to you guys with another audio clip soon. Peace.